Hello everyone and welcome back to game week 4 of the 23-24 PTC Therapeutics Premiership for the first game of the day on Court A, which will be contested between West Bromwich Albion and Sevenoaks. Let's go through the squads and then I'll talk to you about how these two fared yesterday and the season as a whole. Scheduled for a 9:15 kickoff. As mentioned, this one on Court A. Court B will see Teesside take on West Bromwich Albion Throstle. So coached by Chris Gordon, West Brom have number 4 Marcus Harrison, number 7 Logan Mitchelson, number 8 Dave Lewis, number 9 Chris Gordon, number 10 Valentino Zegarelli, number 14 Matt Gilbert, and number 27 Dylan Kelsall. Sevenoaks, coached by Adam McAvoy and Ian Hayward, have number 6 Greg Baxter, number 7 Harry Bestwick, number 8 Kyle Alexander, number 9 James Mason, and number 10 Miles Miller. West Brom in their home kit, blue and white stripes. Their goalkeeper Chris Gordon in a lighter shade of blue. Sevenoaks adorning an emerald green kit. Their goalkeeper will be wearing pink. So if we get the league table up, you can see how these two have fared. West Bromwich Albion sits 6 points behind league leaders Aspire, but a game in hand, so a win here would see them half the gap between themselves and the current champions. Of their 14 games, they've won 12, drawn 1, lost 1. Sevenoaks had a mixed day yesterday. Started with a 3-1 loss to Teesside before a fantastic 2-0 victory over Nottinghamshire. That was followed by a 2-0 defeat to Leeds Chariots. I think the ultimate objective and goal for Adam McAvoy's side is to avoid relegation or being drawn into them bottom placement. For context, whoever finishes in 12th and 11th respectively will be automatically relegated to the championship. Whoever finishes the season in 10th will be put in a playoff fixture against whoever finishes 3rd in the championship for one single Premiership place. Dominance was the word for West Brom yesterday. They started with an emphatic 6-0 victory over Manchester United before beating Nomad Knight by 5-0. So 11 goals without reply today. They have 3 fixtures, starting with this 9:15 scheduled kickoff against Sevenoaks before playing their sister club West Bromwich Albion Throssles at 11:35. They face Villa Rocket at 4:15 as well. So the first game of the day and the last game of the day that will really test their resilience, their stamina. Sevenoaks have just 2 fixtures today, starting of course with this one against West Brom before playing Hull and East Yorkshire at 1:55. Our officials for this one: have Paul Yates in the centre, assisted by Rob Crawshaw and Pete Westmoreland. The last time these two met in the league in game week 1 of the 23-24 Premiership, that was all the way back in September. West Brom were 5-0 victors. 2 goals from Chris Gordon, 2 from Dylan Kelsall, and a single from Dave Lewis. One thing to note for this game and to keep an eye on across West Bromwich Albion's games today, they trail Aspire of course by 6 points in the standings, but that goal difference is something that could be incredibly significant at the conclusion of the 5 weekends. Aspire currently on plus 56. West Bromwich Albion on plus 51. So should West Brom manage to score 5 goals without reply in this game, they will match them in the standings. But it was really fascinating yesterday. There was a number of occasions in which Aspire and West Brom were playing at the same time, and they just seemed to match one another in terms of their attacking output. When West Bromwich Albion beat Manchester United by 6 goals to 0, Aspire beat Nottinghamshire by 6 goals to 1. So let's clear their match graphics. Thank you to all that are joining myself, Ryan Sipple. Let's go through the squads very quickly, starting with West Brom. They have Chris Gordon in goal. Currently looks like Matt Gilbert, the number 14, will be in the centre. Wingers of Marcus Harrison and Dylan Kelsall. And we are underway as Matt Gilbert fires it down the court. Sevenoaks have Greg Baxter in the bright pink goalkeeper jersey in front of him. Kyle Alexander, who had a very good day yesterday. Wingers of Miles Miller and Harry Bestwick. So a very deep kick in for Sevenoaks. Miles Miller down the line. Flicked off the front of Miles Miller's bumper. So Kyle Alexander takes possession. Quickly dispossessed by Dylan Kelsall. Dylan Kelsall and Greg Baxter were both teammates at a recent development international tournament where England, or an England development team, was successful in seeing off 2 teams from Scotland and a single from Spain to lift the Scotland Invitational 2024. Dylan Kelsall not only picking up the top goal scorer award, got player of the tournament and was in the team of the weekend. Matt Gilbert into the box, pick off from Marcus Harrison. He's going to follow that up, try and find the gap between Baxter and Alexander. He won't give up. Has possession now, supported by Chris Gordon. Has to be careful of his placement. Back to his captain, to Dylan Kelsall. Fires it over to Gilbert. The right idea, trying to get that pick off between Miller and Baxter over to Harrison in space. Not before a 2-on-1 is awarded in Sevenoaks' favour, so a little bit of respite. This is probably going to be par for the course across the 40-minute game. We know how attacking West Bromwich Albion are. Both of these two have options on the bench should they wish to use them. A single substitute for Sevenoaks, that of James Mason. 3 substitutes for West Brom. We'll talk about them in more significance as Matt Gilbert, 2 minutes into the game, opens the scoring. Let's get confirmation of that goal. But as I was mentioning, 3 substitutes for West Bromwich Albion: Logan Mitchelson, Valentino Zagarelli and Dave Lewis. But already Chris Gordon's side has started absolutely brilliantly in their 5-0 victory over Nomad Knights yesterday. They were unable to break the deadlock in the first half. Not quite sure if Chris Gordon has focused on that or looked to address that lack of goals in the first half. He's set the tempo here early on. 2 minutes in, Matt Gilbert should there be any goals on court B, I will bring you them. But thank you to all that are joining me for this early game of the day. And then pick off from Marcus Harrison had some real venom on it, so Greg Baxter had to adjust. They're not resting on that 1-0 scoreline. They're looking to add more. I spoke about the significance of goal difference. If they carry on in this fashion, they'll no doubt limit that gap between themselves and Aspire. Well trapped by Harry Bestwick. Miles Miller receives. Baxter tries to distribute out to Harry Bestwick, quickly closed down by Marcus Harrison, one of the most effective players anywhere in the world. He's going to take control of this, fires it in between the gap. An absolutely beautiful goal from Marcus Harrison there, just shy of 4 minutes. There's few players that can do what Marcus Harrison can. And 4 minutes in, it's West Bromwich Albion 2, Sevenoaks 0. Just delaying that 180. There wasn't a huge gap between Baxter and Alexander, but Harrison most certainly found it. Let's have a look at the top 6 table as we just have a slight delay to proceedings. You will see that this win, or a win here for West Bromwich Albion, would take them up to 40 points, 3 behind Aspire in first. Should Teesside win their game against Throssell's on Court B, they would also go on to 40 points, but West Brom would have a game in hand on their North East rivals. So a free kick for West Bromwich Albion into Dylan Kelsall, just bypasses him, so Alexander takes possession, well controlled by Miles Miller, wanting to guide it down that left hand wing. He's met almost immediately by Chris Gordon. Bestwick. You can see that goal from Marcus Harrison takes him on 20 for the season, as there's a slight miscommunication between Bestwick and Baxter. They readjust. Valentino Zegarelli on 14. Matt Gilbert opening the scoring here today on 13. If we just get up the top goal scorers of the overall league, you'll see how close it is. The goals actually don't take into consideration the fact that Marcus Harrison is on 20, so that's not updated, but hopefully that race for the golden boot goes down to the wire, just like the season as a whole. Still undecided at the top and the bottom. He was speaking on commentary yesterday about the fact that should anyone manage to take points off Aspire or West Brom, and Teesside, Newcastle and Leeds continue their current trajectories and momentum up the tables, there's no reason why one of those can't upset the momentum and potentially even lift the Premiership crown. One thing is for certain, this is one of the most competitive seasons we've ever had in the top flight of power chair football in England. Dylan Kelsall advancing into the Sevenoaks box. Baxter and Miller very close to one another there, as were Bestwick and Miller. They have to be careful not to be drawn into that action. That's come off Marcus Harrison's chair. It's going to be a goal kick. Bestwick just receiving some instructions from Adam McAvoy on the touchline. Scored a brilliant goal yesterday against Nottinghamshire. One thing we have been speaking about here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre in Nottingham is how effective set pieces have been across game week 4, and how teams have really put some emphasis and focus on the benefits of set pieces. And I probably saw more scored across yesterday's action than I've seen in a single day in a very long time. I think we've given the USA their credit, because during the Fit for Power Chair Football World Cup in Sydney, Tracy Mayr's side were so effective in their utilisation of set pieces. So I just love that we can innovate and take inspiration from other leaders of power chair football around the world. Had a substitution. The Argentine who won most valuable player at that World Cup, Valentino Zegarelli, has come on. Matt Gilbert, the player that's come off. So confirmation of that substitute. There's going to be a penalty kick here. So immediately upon his introduction to the action, Valentino Zegarelli will meet Greg Baxter one-on-one at this penalty kick. He's been so effective since his recent transfer from Argentina. I think he's on 12 or 13 goals. No doubt he'll want to add to his tally here. Feints to go one way, trying to figure out which way Greg Baxter will go. Just shapes up. It's fairly channeled. He's looking for this right-hand post. Feints to the left. He's going to have to take it quickly. Behind Greg Baxter. Absolutely brilliant penalty from the Argentine. West Bromwich Albion 3, Sevenoaks 0. Valentino Zegarelli on the score sheet. Let's just see, bring up the mini table of West Bromwich Albion scorers. You can see that Zegarelli now on 15 goals. This only his second weekend in the National League. A truly remarkable feat. Not just that, his creativity and the assists he's provided have been just as valuable to West Bromwich Albion as his goals. So huge congratulations to him. We're going to get another substitute here. The officials on either side did raise their flag, but I think play will continue without a substitute taking place for now. Dylan Kelsall to take into the box, trying to find the gap between the post and Kyle Alexander. Blocked by Baxter, out of play. As you can see, still 0-0 between West Bromwich Albion Throssels and Teesside on Court B. That one can also be found live on the WFA's YouTube. Just some contact from Zegarelli there. But a 2-on-1, the decision from Paul Yates. He was pointing at Miles Miller. Whether or not he vacated the space quick enough or not remains to be seen, but an indirect free kick will resume play. Quickly taken by Gordon into Marcus Harrison, fired across the face of goal. Very close to meeting Zegarelli on the left-hand post. That's where I talk about them set pieces again. They've almost certainly worked on them since game week 3. I think Sevenoaks converted 1 or 2 set pieces yesterday. I saw some brilliant from Teesside and Newcastle. So hopefully more of the same today. Got a jam-packed day of football here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. I'll be live on commentary for the duration on Court A. Kyle Alexander down to Miles Miller, just exchanges some short snappy passes into the box, doesn't quite meet Harry Beswick. Now Zegarelli picks off back to Marcus Harrison. Fortunate ricochet into the Argentine's path, met by Greg Baxter. There's a slight look at the official Pete Westmoreland. Ricocheted between Bestwick and Zegarelli, falls kindly down this wing. Next game on Court A, we'll see Villa Rockets take on Hull and East Yorkshire. That's scheduled for a 10:25 kickoff. Five and a half minutes or so remaining of this first half. Bromwich Albion 3, Sevenoaks 0. Thank you to all that are tuning in this morning. Kelsall out of play. Substitute for West Brom. Dave Lewis has entered the action. Dylan Kelsall, the player coming off. Alexander, back to Baxter. Sevenoaks just struggling to figure out how to best break this high press of West Brom. Certainly from what I've seen from West Brom in game week 4, they have come out with real purpose. No doubt the ultimate objective is to dethrone Aspire. Not just the action from our National League Premiership. Aspire and West Brom will meet each other in the 2024 FA Disability Cup Power Chair Final, which will be televised on TNT Sport as part of the FA Disability Cup weekend. We'll be bringing more information about that one in the coming weeks. At the conclusion of today's action, as always, we will be running a number of award polls. Standout Player of the Weekend, Unsung Hero of the Weekend, and Team of the Weekend, which will see the top 14 players as Marcus Harrison guides it over the line. Nothing that Greg Baxter could do to prevent that goal, and he will most certainly be in contention for Player of the Weekend. Bromwich Albion 4, Sevenoaks 0, but as mentioned, that Team of the Weekend poll awards the top 4 performance, 2 substitutes and the top performing coach the acknowledgement they deserve. We had a number of player milestones across yesterday's action. Liam Fitzpatrick of Manchester United PFC registering his 100th National League goal, so a huge congratulations to him. And I also had the pleasure of watching and commentating Aaron Guthrie of Newcastle United Foundation registering his 50th National League goal. I want to give credit where it's due to Jeff Lewis, who is so brilliant at recording the stats, as Harry Bestwick attempts an effort. But we're at a position now in our sport that our games are streamed, we have stats, we have so much communication to back up and showcase Power Chair football at the very top level and acknowledge the players and their achievements, which is ultimately what we should be here for. This sport is about the players. Chris Gordon down the line, really nice control from Marcus Harrison. A lot of pace on the ball, so we'll try and play the ball off Greg Baxter. Zegarelli taking position on the edge of the box. Chris Gordon down the line. Out of play for a goal kick. Approaching the final minute. West Bromwich Albion 4, Sevenoaks 0. Beautiful pass from Chris Gordon. Likewise from Marcus Harrison, exchanges some really nice passing play in such tight, compact areas of the court. Going to get a corner kick taken by Marcus Harrison. Valentino Zegarelli going to be the most offensive of the four West Bromwich Albion players. Dave Lewis yet to have any real involvement since his introduction. He might have something to do here as the ball ricochets between Alexander and Gordon. Kept in play by Miller. Gordon didn't quite have the angle on that pass to Marcus Harrison, so fell to Harry Bestwick. They do win a corner kick, and Dave Lewis, for his first major involvement since his introduction, will have responsibility of this corner kick. Teesside have scored on court A. I will bring confirmation. That's a beautiful dummy. Absolutely brilliant goal there. I spoke about set pieces, how they can being utilised in game week 4, and Valentino Zegarelli doubles his goal tally. But the way in which Chris Gordon just let that roll, world class. West Bromwich Albion 5, Sevenoaks 0. This has been a very long first half for Sevenoaks, who will be desperate to limit the damage in the second, but that 5-goal accumulation matches Aspire with plus 56 goals in the standings. I'll bring the live league table at the half-time whistle, but this certainly doesn't harm their chances of catching Aspire, and that signals half-time. 5-0. Matt Gilbert in the second minute opening the scoring. Marcus Harrison 2 minutes after making it 2-0. Zegarelli with the penalty kick, fresh from his introduction, 11 minutes in. After 15 minutes, Marcus Harrison got his second of the game. Not before Zegarelli on the 20th minute, capping off a perfect first half for West Brom. We just bring up the league table. As mentioned, Teesside 1-0 up against West Bromwich Albion Throttles on Court B, so they match West Brom in terms of points accumulated across the 4 weekends so far. But that goal difference between Aspire and West Brom, neck and neck. The only game in which West Brom have really faltered is a 2-1 defeat to Newcastle United Foundation. But with Aspire and West Brom to meet each other in game week 5, so long as they continue to get maximum points from all their fixtures, it could be similar to last season, in which one of the final games of the overall season will determine who finishes at the top of the tree and secures the Premiership title. But thank you to all that are joining me for this opening game. I will be back very shortly for the second half. everyone, and welcome back to this fixture between West Bromwich Albion and Sevenoaks, the first of the day on Court A. Currently very one-sided. West Bromwich Albion 5, Sevenoaks 0. Not just the scoreline, the manner in which they scored some of their goals. Marcus Harrison on for his hat-trick, as is Valentino Zegarelli. Matt Gilbert with the other. Be interesting to see if they opt to switch it up in this second half. Yet to bring Logan Mitchelson on, so hopefully we'll get to see the Scotsman feature in the second half. All throughout that first half, the single substitute for Sevenoaks in James Mason was having adjustments made to his chair, and that's still the case. The top right hand corner of your screens, you'll see them desperately trying to get his chair functional. I think he may even have a flat tyre. I think one of his tyres is currently off. Can't quite make it out from here. But West Brom have matched Aspire on goal difference, plus 56 across their 15 games. A really impressive average. Chris Gordon has made a change at the break. Dave Lewis with a very short cameo, replaced by Dylan Kelsall. We are back underway. Kyle Alexander to take the kick-off. Be looking to get it up the court. That's better, but falls kindly to Dylan Kelsall. Fresh from his introduction. There's confirmation of that change on your screens now. It's Marcus Harrison finds Gordon over to Kelsall. Beautiful pass to Matt Gilbert, who's also come back on in place of Valentino Zegarelli. And Marcus Harrison on for his hat-trick, fires the ball into the side of Kyle Alexander's chair. Danger still very much present. Harrison just taking his time through the eye of the needle, and that is a absolutely brilliant goal. How he found that gap, I really don't know. But Matt Gilbert registers his second goal of the game. Marcus Harrison just as prolific in terms of his creativity as that of his attacking output. West Bromwich Albion 6, Sevenoaks 0. That's not how Sevenoaks would have wanted to start this second. They now boast a more favourable goal difference than that of Aspire, but still trail them in points by just 3. Teesside have doubled their advantage on Court B. Let's quickly bring up that scoreline. West Bromwich Albion Throssels 0, Teesside 2. So Teesside still very much in contention and a contender for the Premiership title. Game week 5, you will not want to miss it. At the conclusion of this one, I'll run through some of the fixtures we have to look forward to, but Teesside meeting Aspire and West Brom, Aspire and West Brom meeting one another. Can all be decided, and there's no reason why we can't have a new champion. Another goal for Teesside. They trail the top 2 teams in goal difference. Good pass from Alexander. Miles Miller couldn't quite connect with that front bumper pick-off. Once again, thank you again to all that are tuning in for this one. It's Matt Gilbert looking for his hat-trick now. Crucial block from Greg Baxter. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the WFA's YouTube. Once we reach 1,000 followers, we can really increase the quality of our streams. Don't sit far at all away. 944 as I speak. Harry Beswick now, potential to break. Would have probably served him to stay in reverse there, and Miles Miller to take a more attacking position wide on the right. Unfortunately, doesn't amount to much. But they're a little bit braver in possession, certainly compared to that of the first half. Harry Beswick trapped in that top left-hand corner, vacates it really well. So Miles Miller with possession now into Baxter. Couldn't quite get the purchase to find Beswick. One thing I have been really impressed by is Kyle Alexander's accuracy in passing this weekend. Whilst they are struggling here, you have to put it into context. These are two fighting at very different ends of the Premiership table. Miles Miller and Greg Baxter, once again, slight miscommunication, allowed to continue from Paul Yates as he dribbles down the wing. The ball had left the field of play. West Brom yet to concede in game week 4. Nice connection from Baxter. Dylan Kelso, the most defensive of the 4 West Brom players. Contact between Harrison and Baxter. Baxter raises his hand in appeal, but 2-on-1 the decision. So an indirect free kick will resume play. You can see from that West Bromwich Albion Throttles now trail by 3-0. Sevenoaks just getting a little bit sloppy. All being drawn into that same ball. Paul Yates readied himself to blow the whistle for a 2-on-1, but with West Brom in possession, allowed advantage to continue. Gilbert now fired into the side of Baxter's chair, ricochets. Kyle Alexander to prevent that going out for a corner. 3 players on for their hat-tricks in Matt Gilbert, Marcus Harrison and Valentino Zegarelli, the latter of which currently on the bench alongside Dave Lewis and Logan Mitchelson. James Mason continuing to get work done on his chair. Just for a little bit of context, they have been using James Mason as their designated goalkeeper, and they've really found that that's worked for them in terms of a formula for defensive stability and attacking output as Harry Beswick set away. So Greg Baxter shouting at Miles Miller to take a position on the right, but as mentioned, James Mason has been adorning that bright pink goalkeeper jersey, with Greg Baxter in more of a wide attacking area, and he's been very good when he's featured there. Scored a sensational goal yesterday against Teesside, without question will be in contention for the goal of the season. So I beg the question, if they had James Mason available for selection and they were adopting that effective tactic that's worked for them in game week 4, whether this would be as one-sided as it currently is. Still West Bromwich Albion 6, Sevenoaks 0. It's Matt Gilbert now sends an effort goal bound, slightly forced, but Marcus Harrison's going to chase that up. under 12 minutes to be played. Baxter to take. Down to Miles Miller. Takes control. Space limited by Chris Gordon. Despite the appeals for a corner kick, he will get a goal kick. Matt Gilbert into the side of Kyle Alexander. Today will be a real test of West Bromwich Albion's stamina. They play West Bromwich Albion Throstles at 11:35 and Villa Rockets again at 4:15. Double change for West Brom. Chris Gordon off, Dave Lewis on, and as I hoped would be the case, Logan Mitchelson on in place of Marcus Harrison. Ooh, fired high into the chair of Miles Miller. Let's get confirmation of them changes while he just gets an adjustment with his chair. Fairly unique feat of West Brom is the fact that their team is comprised of 3 different nationalities: English, Scottish and Argentinian. Interesting to see where Logan Mitchelson is positioned. He's currently the most defensive of the 4 players, but Dave Lewis is adorning that goalkeeper jersey a lime green, slight difference from that of Chris Gordon's blue. We're back underway as Matt Gilbert trying to find Dylan Kelso on the left. Well found by Dave Lewis. Sevenoaks once again struggling to break the press. And Greg Baxter not happy at the awarding of this 2-on-1. Indirect free kick has to go via the chair of an opponent or teammate. Dave Lewis to take. Dylan Kelso on the left, who he opts to find, and crucial interception from Miles Miller. Harry Bestwick can't quite angle his chair to channel that down the line. Out for a West Bromwich Albion kick-in. Lewis out of play. Lewis. Wayward pass over to Miles Miller. Logan Mitchelson will have his first involvement, just ushering it out the Sevenoaks number 10's path. Has to be careful there. Well weaved out the path of Greg Baxter. Over to Dylan Kelso. Starting to get very congested here. Dylan Kelso, brilliant work down that right hand wing, but just had a little bit of spin on the ball, so out of play. I think James Mason looks set to come on now. No more tinkering or adjustments being made to his chair. So it'll be interesting to see if he features in the final 7 minutes. Baxter, immediate interception from Matt Gilbert, who scores his hat-trick. West Bromwich Albion 7, Sevenoaks 0. Let's get confirmation of that goal. You'll see that hat-trick for Matt Gilbert puts him on 15 across West Brom's 15 goals, so an impressive goal per game ratio. One of my favourite players to watch in the National League. Often goes under the radar at West Brom, but he's such a valuable asset to Chris Gordon. Fired up the court. It's going to go wide of the left-hand post, but some serious power generated by the West Brom number 8. As you can see from that, West Brom have found it, Sevenoaks have found it hard to register goals across the season. Just 7 goals scored by their players. I think a few own goals have aided some of their results, but Harry Bestwick with 4, Greg Baxter with 3. But already West Brom have surpassed their goal tallies from their games yesterday. They've now had a 5-0, 6-0 and this current 7-0 scoreline in their favour without reply. This West Brom's game in hand over Aspire, so surpassing them on goal difference will mean that match-up between the two in game week 5 is so pivotal. Good passing play from Sevenoaks. Once again, good accuracy from Kyle Alexander. Logan Mitchelson just comes across to limit Miles Miller, who is driving into the West Brom box. 2-on-1 in favour of West Brom. Miller and Alexander too close to one another, as we are now into the last 5 or so minutes. Lewis to Kelsall. Good pass over to Gilbert, and another really well worked opportunity from West Brom, just wide of the post on that occasion. But likewise to Marcus Harrison of West Brom, Matt Gilbert has creativity to match his goal scoring ability. 3 substitutes for West Brom: Chris Gordon, Marcus Harrison and Valentino Zegarelli re-entering the court in place of Gilbert, Mitchelson and Lewis. A little bit of contact from Zegarelli there. Smile on the face of Greg Baxter. Play continues. Zegarelli now also on for his hat-trick, as is Marcus Harrison. And that he gets 30, just shy of 37 minutes. West Bromwich Albion 8, Sevenoaks 0. Harrison with 3, Gilbert with 3, Valentino Zegarelli with 2. An absolute dominant performance from the 4-time champions. Harrison really does amaze me sometimes how they find the gaps. Sometimes just a ball's width between the defensive players, but you can tell that they work on it in training as Harrison fires it into the box, just ricochets off Greg Baxter's chair. Full time on the other court. Looks like Teesside secured a 3-0 win over West Bromwich Albion Throttle, so they'll remain locked on points with West Brom, having played a game more. I'll bring the full table up at the conclusion of this one. Just under 2 minutes left to be played. Chris Gordon into Zegarelli, out to Marcus Harrison, into the box. Zegarelli tries to make contact, but Miller positions his chair in such a fashion that it prevented the Argentine from making clean contact. He's appealing that it should have been a foul the other way. Final minute, if I was to be pushed for a player of the match, it would be between either Matt Gilbert or Marcus Harrison, both with assists, both with a hat-trick. It's exactly how West Brom would have wanted to start a busy day of football. And Marcus Harrison, that time wide of the left-hand post. It's not often he doesn't make contact or hit the target. Fortunately for Sevenoaks, he does on that occasion. 10 seconds to go. Barring a late goal from West Brom, it will end West Bromwich Albion 8, Sevenoaks 0. Miller with a little bit of contact. Cleared by Alexander. Gordon into Harrison. Had the regulation 20. Now into any additional time. Gordon controls, blocked by Bestwick. Baxter. Kelsall down to Zegarelli. Can he get his hat-trick? He's going to try and force the ball between Baxter and Alexander. The former adjusts well. You know, he's a very strong player. Zegarelli deemed too aggressive. Free kick for Sevenoaks. Over a minute of additional time has been played. Baxter, immediate interception. Can Zegarelli find that third goal? Baxter once again limits the opportunity. Into Gordon. Over to Harrison, just ricochets off that left-hand post. Not quite sure why so much time has been added on. I know we had a few adjustments to Miller's chair and a few substitutes, but we're now approaching 2 minutes. James Mason won't feature for Sevenoaks. I hope that he will be back for their game later today against Hull and East Yorkshire. Such a crucial game at the bottom of the table. Kelsall just sweeps up, 180 kicks into Alexander. Paul Yates looks at his watch. This will surely be the last kick of the game. And that it absolutely is. West Bromwich Albion 8, Sevenoaks 0 in the first half. Matt Gilbert opened the scoring in the second minute before Marcus Harrison doubled the four-time champions' advantage in the fourth. Zegarelli on the score sheet with a penalty on the 11th minute before Harrison found his second. Just shy of half-time, Zegarelli scored his second and West Brom's fifth. Just 3 goals in the second half, so much improved certainly with regards to Sevenoaks' defence. Gilbert in the 22nd minute scored West Brom's 6th before finding his hat-trick in the 33rd and then late off. Marcus Harrison capped a brilliant team performance with his hat-trick and West Brom's 8. If we bring up the table, just so you can see what that goal difference does for them, they now boast a more favourable goal difference than that of Aspire, having played the exact same number of games. I said that I would talk about some of the fixtures in game week 5, not to disregard the remaining games of this weekend. But if we just take West Brom as a point of reference, in game week 5 they start against Leeds Chariots before playing Nottingham, then they play Teesside, Newcastle and Aspire. So as final days go, playing Teesside, Newcastle and Aspire, it doesn't get much tougher than that, but they just look like they've got some real momentum now. The acquisition of Logan Mitchelson and Valentino Zegarelli not only adds further quality but depth, something that Aspire have always boasted, bringing a squad of 8 to most game weeks here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. But once again, thank you to all that have tuned in for this opening game of the day. Next up on Court A, as just mentioned, we have Villa Rockets versus Hull and East Yorkshire.